Hello, everybody. It's Friday night, and it is time for the Weekender once again. We have another show packed full of news from all the big conflicts from history, World War I, World War II, Khmelnytsky Uprising, and more besides. We also have a voucher courtesy of Wayland Games for £50 for one lucky commenter below this video here on the YouTubes. So sit back, relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by Ben and Justin.
Hello.
It's the weekend and I'm happy.
Normally you say that the other way around and it threw me. Oh my God.
I know. I'm terrible like that.
Oh, it's got to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
I don't want people falling into rote. That would be the worst thing.
Yes.
We're back for another fun-filled segment full of tiny fighting men's.
Obviously.
And all things hoppy. And we're going to actually start with something serious.
Oh, yes. PSA.
Yeah. In case people have not heard, there has been a product recall for Colour Forge basing sand. Two colours, moss green and Atlantico blue, batch numbers 26020038. That's the Colour Forge basing sand, moss green and Atlantico blue. If you've picked those up for your tiny fighting men in space, seal the tub, bring it back to wherever you got it from. There's a potential contamination of asbestos, so don't piss around with it.
Yes.
Bonus.
I will say, if you're an older gamer and have children, and you've got coloured play sand for them, from Hobbycraft, do the same. And from Amazon, check. Because November last year, Amazon did a product recall. And then about the end of January, 24th, 25th, Hobbycraft, somebody spotted it in Australia, had a product recall for coloured play sand for asbestos, bought some from their local Hobbycraft and got it tested themselves specifically to see, and this is where this is all stemmed from. So any coloured play sand, there's a potential hazard. So check. Apparently, we don't have to anymore because of Brexit.
Oh.
And this is why there hasn't been limits on this coming in or tests done at a governmental level. And it's just whenever somebody spots it. So
fair enough.
If you are basing, it's particularly bad if it's being used dry, which all play sand and basing material is. Because you put PVC on it and then you sprinkle dry sand all over it and then huff the asbestos in. So don't do that. It's bad. Right.
There you
that
go.
is my
consumer
annual
news.
public service announcement. I'm like, what a year.
Fair.
I'm not doing any more. It's up to you not to get...
How often do people look for these kind of things online? Do I have anything dangerous?
Well, that's it. Especially if you order via online web store.
Or if you're terrible and do like Shein or Temu.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's if you're not constantly going in, you might not see. It's different if you're going into a regular store and they'll have them up on a notice board or in the window when there's a product recall or something like that. And you see it as you're passing it every day. But if you order basing sand, I'm still using basing sand I got 10 years ago. If there was anything wrong with that, there's no way I was ever spotting that again. You know? So it's something that people are going to skip over and nobody wants asbestos lung.
Right, Jerry, you're old school. You'll colour the sand yourself.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm paying somebody else to do it for me. What an absolute waste of my life. Now, enough of that. Let's take a look at some toy soldiers in the news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
Okay, we're going to be kicking the news off this week with a look at some delightful World War II with a touch of the odd about it.
Yeah. Wargames Atlantic have been doing the weirding in the world warring of the twoing yet again with Marcher Empire at War. bringing us some new plastic kits. So this is one that was on Kickstarter, and we're now seeing some previews of the actual plastic kits. First up, we're seeing for the US of A, the GI infantry set. So this is going to do you 20 hard plastic miniatures with a host of different weapon loadouts. And I will say, I have a very close look at some of these. I like what they've done with them. Sometimes whenever people go Weird World War II, they do too much of a wibble. It goes too weird.
Pencils up the nose, underpants on the head.
I don't think I've seen anyone do that, but I'm sure somebody out there has a 3D file of that.
That's an alt head option, yeah.
So. Yeah. But for this one, you can really see where they've taken the engineering of real world weapons and went, if Element X existed, how would they work that into it to make like some kind of Tesla rifle or some gigantic, instead of a 50 BMG, a 75 BMG, this kind of thing. But I love the designs, really clean plastics. Looks like the sprues are absolutely packed with different weapon options.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've got everything from flamethrowers to grenade launchers to rifles to sabers to blades, all of the armor pieces, tiny little energy pistols, and it looks fabulous.
Water bottles.
Yes,
lovely
canteens.
Of course.
I suppose that's where
the canteens. Stay hydrated.
I suppose that's where the Dieselpunk thing comes in, because it's not sort of like your classic sort of Conflict 47 weird world war. It's more, as you say, like we have an element that does this, but it's a little bit more industrial, I guess, would be the way to go.
Well, it's more of that real world engineering that goes into them.
Yeah.
With the technology at the time, how would they crowbar this into place?
Yeah. It's the same that Hydra and Red Skull did in World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Captain America.
Exactly. Now, our second set is the US Veterans and Command. So this one will make you 12 miniatures, and this is going to do some of your specialist stuff. So if you want your medics, your commanders, your flag carriers, I do love the engraved detail on the flags in this particular set.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's a nice touch. I cannot freehand for the life of me, so thank you.
You weren't going to freehand the Stars and Stripes one by one?
No.
No? Okay.
No. But even in this one, you can see some even more advanced weaponry. So down the bottom there, you see something like an analog of the M16 starting to come in there. And again, more sabers, you've got your rifles, you've got your med bags. I do quite like the actual detail on the chest armor. It looks more like segmented body armor is coming into play.
Yeah, that's
just
nice.
really, really nice.
Yeah.
That, and of course, you have one guy with a gigantic hat because you have to know he's in charge.
In charge. Yeah.
Of course.
That's their standard. Their standard body armor, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But I again, it's a really nice design of body armor. It looks functional.
It feels like
it's not like, oh my God, you have this big, massive plate that if you try to shrug, the shoulder plates are going to crush your head.
Yeah. It feels like this fits in quite nicely with what, and I know this has obviously been done with Golden Dragon for Marcher and stuff, but it feels like it fits into the wheelhouse of what they've done already for Deathfields, where they had the standard infantry and then you had a command element that also had some of the heavy options alongside it at the same time. So
yeah,
it sort of works with what Wargames Atlantic have done in the past. So
yeah.
Are you trying to count how many states there are?
There's a shocking amount of stars on there. 4, 6.
Well, I mean, maybe in this Weird World War, America
stars on that.
Oh, not 50. Maybe America went a little bit expansionist.
Oh dear.
I don't know if
that's part of.
They fought the Pacific War, and each island became a state.
Well, I'm assuming it is part of the Marcher background.
You'd think so, yeah.
Because
they have quite a lot of background.
Something to look up.
Well, there's no way Hudson, the owner of the company, who is American, would end up producing a 100-starred banner.
No, yes, that's very true.
So
he does but dare to dream.
That would not have slipped past. So that's amusing. Yeah, I do like the stuff they've done for the US.
Yeah,
even the fact they've got what would look like a more modern M16 style. Yeah. Just showing that you can push forward a couple of decades of progress when you have access to
crazy tech.
Yeah. Well, the crazy tech is in the middle because there appears to be some kind of large energy rifle.
Oh, I don't care about that anymore. I've just seen the medic has a pair of forceps.
Oh,
and they look to be the hooked forceps
for taking bullets out of wounds.
Pulling. Yeah, that's a really nice touch.
Yeah.
All right, now the third kit is actually my favorite, but I think they have misnamed it slightly.
The Honey Badger.
Yeah, well, it says the Badger hard suit. It should be the Honey Badger hard suit. Because let's be honest, if you think of a Badger, you're thinking Wind in the Willows, the little grey, black, and white guys. They're going to invite you in for a cup of tea, not the crack-addled rabies machine that lives in America.
Also known as Floridians. No.
Oi! My missus is a bit from there.
Well,
insult. All right, I will say this for her. You say that again, I'm going to smack you upside your goddamn head.
There you go.
I mean, I hate to point out
I know it. I know what you're pointing out. It's the one disappointing component.
The Honey Badger is from Africa and not from America.
Oh.
And that's probably why they didn't call it a Honey Badger.
Oh. But I've seen one in Far Cry.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
How realistic is that on a scale of 1 to post-apocalyptic 1950s?
That's true.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Now, these guys are big, honky-chunky, heavy weapons. There is one disappointing component, and it's the power plant on the back. It's a little too dreadnoughty for me.
With the 2 exhaust vaults.
Yeah, and just that similar rounded shell. But again, it's only one component.
I love the axe.
I can forgive it.
The axe is so cool.
The axe is really nice. And then, I mean, these, whenever you see them in scale next to everything else, they are proper chunky looking.
Big boys.
Which I really, really like. And again, building nice mechanical models is always, this is like my favorite type of model to build, is just big, heavy armor guys. But I guess that's just, me enjoying my mecha.
Looks like there's a reasonable amount of posability in the way that you can put the weapons and stuff as well. So,
well,
I mean,
seems
do you expect less?
So,
but do you expect less from Wargames Atlantic? They've been doing this so long; they're so experienced.
Yeah.
All right, now the very last thing to show you is that there's more than just the Americans, because there is a 2-player set that you can grab, which I'm not going to pronounce the name of because I am terrible at this. But as well as the Americans in this set, you're seeing the Holy Roman Empire. So we've got the God Squad on the go.
Technically, it's not really how it worked.
Well, I mean, they're calling themselves holy.
Yeah, that's because the Pope said that Germany, or at least Charlemagne, was the new Roman Empire. So technically, yes. But at the same time, probably not.
That's the plastic set that you could get through the Game Fan campaign.
Yeah.
So obviously that
means, you still able to grab it, Ben?
Yeah, there's still late pledges and things available for the Game Fan, so you can go over and get that if you want to. But obviously, this also means that Wargames Atlantic are going to be doing the plastic kits for this, so they will also be available separately later on down the line too. I think they said they've already basically finished production of the US stuff, so the Holy Roman Empire bits and bobs should be very, very close behind, I would think. So
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I will say it's a tempting game to play just purely because I love the look of the aesthetics. I know nothing about the rules yet.
Yeah.
But it looks good. And I love the additional little terrain pieces you get in this.
It is nice.
So the little road blockades, the sandbags, even tiny little road signs.
Yeah, that won't help you.
If in doubt, stand behind the massive hard suit.
Yes, that might help you. But barbed wire and sandbags against these, I think you're going away.
The goggles, they do nothing.
That just gives the illusion of safety.
Yeah.
Well, it's more for corralling the civilians.
I do love the fact that Golden Dragon have done those 2 big hardback books. So you've got your core rules, then you've got the full Armies books as well. And the fact that they're in the starter set, at least on the Game Found version, is cracking.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see how this expands out for other factions.
There's a lot of stuff.
What they'll do.
There's a lot of stuff they've done as STL files and things, because March has been around for a while as a digital only almost product with the ability to get them physically as well, obviously. But it's nice to see that all of it's moving into hard plastic, and again, Wargames Atlantic helping out the little guys doing their thing, which is always fun. So
yeah, definitely.
Especially because it's not just a World War I/World War II gone weird. It is a different universe/world.
Yeah.
So the fact you've still got the Holy Roman Empire and not Germany And there's a lot of stuff like that where the nations are not broken down as they would be in
the alliances are all different,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing as well.
So it just adds a little different spin on things, which I think is quite cool.
Yeah.
Also means might see
definitely.
bionicle cannon-mounted camelry at some point. And why not? Just go the whole hog.
Why not?
Proto-anime style mecha coming out of Japan.
Oh no, they'll all still be terrible. Right. Away from Marcher's Empire at War, but sticking with the past to a certain extent, we're looking at 1918 from Warfulcrum Games. Now, they had a successful Kickstarter last year. They are in the process of finishing that off, so things are coming out. Some of the sets in here were part of the stretch goals that they unlocked in that campaign. But as you can see, they are a range of digitally sculpted World War I figures from Warfulcrum for their game 1918. And kicking things off, we have the delightful Vicar machine gun. So 4-man crew. Crew are mostly individual, shall we say. You've got your gunner and assistant. Seems to be a one-piece build, and then you have your second assistant, ammo carrier that you can clump together onto what I'm presuming would probably be a 100mm round base.
Yeah,
I'd be able to squeeze in this 60.
Sculpted base topper type thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about the sculpted base toppers more in a moment. But it's nice because it has the correct crew members. I think we've hit a point where a lot of games seem to default to 3-man crew for weapons team, even when weapons teams in general don't always have a 3-man crew.
Because that was the Warhammer standard for a long time. They were like, let's just do that.
Sneaking suspicion, yes.
Yeah.
And even
that means
even
they have one less man to sculpt.
Well, it didn't matter. In a lot of cases, you just had duplicates in the crews anyway. But we have the Vickers HMG, beautiful piece of kit. And a really nice set of sculpts. Very, I'm not going to say unique, but very accurately sculpted for a weapons team fighting. And you'll see this throughout all of them, especially with things like the mortar section. So for the 3mm Stokes, 3-inch Stokes mortar, the crew, this fella especially, I don't know whether he's got a tab in his mouth that he's smoking as he sits on a stack of mortar shells.
I like to think he is.
And he's just screwing a new primer into the top of it, getting it ready to launch, or if it's just something that he's got, between his teeth while he's doing other work. But just that little touch, it's like the forceps on the fella. It's just a little touch of realism. So it's not just one man pointing, one man with binoculars, one man holding the thing, they have an actual look of a crew working together. Includes also spare mortar shell and ammo crate for you to dust the top of your base with. They do have plenty of ammo, but at the rate they were launching it off in the trenches, I'm assuming that won't last for long. Alongside,
it adds a nice touch of realism because every unit in the military, I'm sure, you have that guy.
The guy who knows what he's doing.
Yes, but he's most likely trying to go, there's an oopsie-daisy about to happen, I'll be fine.
It'd be grand. I mean, unless he's planning on ramming the mortar into his head, a cigarette isn't going to set it off.
I have seen some Darwin Awards.
Yeah, but not from that. It's not how those mortars work. Alongside the British, there's also some stuff coming for the Germans. This is probably my favorite base topper I've ever seen ever. ... bar none. Full stop, exclamation mark, interrobang. So it's a 2-man sniper team, but there are options. So you have your shooter can either be checking the range on his scope, or he can be lining up for a shot. He is a spotter with a pair of trench periscope. But it's not pair binoculars, but a singular trench periscope. That makes no sense. English language is weird.
It is.
Yep.
But the base topper for the 40mm base, having essentially your edge of a trench along with the sandbags, and then They refer to it as a loop plate. But trench shield is how I've often seen it referred to. But regardless, it's a really, really nice touch. They had a couple of different versions of this. They were little sort of 10 to 15 kilo metal plates, metal shields that had a little stand at the back that you could carry with you and set up. And there, you might just be able to see that odd shaped, like a kidney, is the little loop that they would spin round from the inside to show the sniper hole. Now, it did get to the point where if these weren't particularly well disguised and one of these was set up at the side of a trench, snipers would aim at that, waiting for that loop plate to open.
Like a target.
Which is why, even though you'll see a ton of pictures of these, if you look at World War I trench photography, they much prefer to use the periscope, because then you weren't eyeball at hole when a sniper shoots at you. But that, I mean, that's just cracking. It's a really, really nice set of snipers, and different from your usual lying down with some Tufty Club stuff stuck over the top of them. So it's really evocative of 1918, rather than just being a German that could easily be World War II.
Yeah.
You know, when you see them just lying on the ground or kneeling.
Very nice.
See, I would just pass out a bunch of these, line them all up along and open them all at the same time. And it's just like, well, let's play whack-a-mole.
One of you's going to die, but...
Well, no, only one of them's real. The rest are just someone opening it so they shoot at it.
I see.
I mean, sure, if you've got the disposable people. I will say you're not a million miles away. At one point, they did test out bigger versions of these, like 4 or 5 that were welded together and attached to a couple of gun carriage wheels that they could push in front of them so they could advance towards another trench line, like a movable mantlet. Bigger mantlets. It's the way to go. Okay. You need to stop thinking so small, Justin.
I was just thinking for a relevant shape.
Alongside our little sniper, there's also the Cleef Flammenwerfer. So your flamethrower with assistant operator and flame effect, delightfully propped up on a sandbag. Can also be used in case you want to have some sort of magic genie sandbag where if you rub it, a gin will come out. Just need a tiny Robin Williams to stick on one end.
I mean, if you carve off the sandbags, that would be a great fireball effect for your mage.
Very true. I
wouldn't even worry about carving it off. Just cover it in sand and PVA. Not coloured sand. It's got asbestos. Along with that, there's also the Minenwerfer. So the little 7.6. Fun fact, it was actually 7.58 centimeters. Somebody's rounded up here.
13.5.
But again, a really, really nice heroic tens. Really nice set of figures. So you've got your full crew plus additional ammunition and mine. And these are one of the reasons why you don't be hiding behind sandbags or little barbed wire things, Justin. The reason they're called mines rather than mortars is these were shorter ranged rifled barrels. So they were more targeted, more accurate, and then a massive payload with ammonium nitrate explosives in it, specifically to remove barricades and sandbags and stuff. When you couldn't be sure artillery would hit the targets, the engineers would use these to sweep clear defenses before people go in.
Like a HE, or basically, yes, HE.
Yeah. The Germans got the idea. They started developing this before the war because of
rabbits. I don't know.
No, the siege of Port Arthur in China during that war in 1905. It was a long siege, and they just couldn't get past the defenses. The barricades and stuff like that, and small emplacements were too small to be accurately hit by artillery, and the siege. So observers, essentially in the German military at the time, looked at that and went, "We need something in advance. We need something that would do this job if we ever get to this position." So they started working on it before the war, and then immediately went, "Yeah, we need these." And from the start of the war, they had like 1,000.
Production now.
By the end of the war, they had 12,500.
Wow.
They were so effective that the Allies captured one at one point and immediately brought it back to Blighty, had the tech boffins look at it, and then immediately produced their own version. And it was it was just an absolute banger in comparison to its big brother.
Yeah, it's explosive.
It used like a fraction of the amount of gear that you needed to have for one of these big field guns. So it just made a lot more sense. You know, why have one of these when you can have 10 of the Mine Werfers?
Wow,
and also much more portable and in the trenches.
You don't need horses for that.
What's that going to be, a 6-horse limber probably on that to tow it, plus the ammo, plus. But again, if you do want to reach out and touch somebody, the 7.7 field gun, absolute bagger, should be not on a table. Or if it's on a table, and I say this all the time in artillery, it should be the objective.
Yeah, that's
because it would never be that close to the front lines unless the front lines are about to be overrun. In which case, all bets are off. But it's like tanks. Kids want the big guns. That's what they tell me. But yeah, really nice 80mm base topper, full crew, ammo. It's just missing the horse limber and ammo carriage. It's the only thing, the magazine carriage.
Knowing Warfulcrum, they'll probably end up doing that anyway at some point.
Yeah. So like I say, these were part of the stretch goals from the Kickstarter. The A7V heavy tank was also a stretch goal. It's coming shortly, and the British 18-pounder is also being worked on as well. And then after that, if you go back and have a look at their campaign from the end of last year, you'll see the stretch goals they didn't unlock, and that's probably where they're heading next. So once they've cleared the decks, they'll be onto them in a big way. So great for any World War One, possibly even interwar, depending on what loadouts you're using. Game that you fancy. They've obviously got 1918 as their own game, but then there's Blood and Valor and a whole host of very British Civil War, all sorts of things out there you can use it with. So
lovely job.
Yeah.
And digital and physical. You can get both.
Yes. Yeah. Cracking. Right. Let's take a deep breath and debigulate everything.
Yes, because the folks over at Perry Miniatures, after the Christmas period, apparently TravelBattles sold really well, which is their sort of 8mm quick and easy set of Napoleonic War style game that you can play on the tabletop. Came with 2 sets of plastic figures in there, red versus blue, classic, the British versus the French. Or as my friend was saying as we were playing over last weekend, I'm going to play as the Belgians. And I was like, no, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, I think these are going to be sharp sons. They're Belgians. And I was like, shut up now.
I mean,
but anyway, yes.
At least he didn't want to be the Prince of Orange.
Yeah. Oh, God. Shoot him in the arse.
Yes.
Right. So, yes, expanding the TravelBattles has been the way to go for the folks at Perry Miniatures. Plastic miniatures take a while to produce, and so in the meantime, they are working on some metal figures, as you can see here. And whilst TravelBattles doesn't really have rules for lots of different styles of infantry on the tabletop and things like that, there's no reason why you couldn't come up with some of your own. I think Perry Miniatures are also talking about doing a little bit of an expansion to the rules as well, just to take things in a different direction.
Fantasy.
But in essence, this just allows you to sort of change up your force and theme it in a different way. So, for example, we have the infantry in your Bicons here, which, as you can see, the Perrys have painted up as the early Peninsular War Spanish and the Prussians, but you could also use them for a range of different other nations as well. So Saxons, Russians, French, and the mid-1790s British.
Tell me,
go down that route.
Tell me you're not thinking about doing them as the Real Campagna Irlandesa.
No.
Of course you are. You sharp whore, you. Of course you are.
Oh, God, I am, yes.
You just need Colonel the Lord Kiley on his horse.
Yeah. They'd be so easy to paint as well.
Yes.
So that's your sort of infantry and Bicons. You also have infantry and helmets, if you want to go down that route. This allows you to build up the Austrians or the Bavarians. And then, of course, you've got them there as Baden-Württemberg and the Nassau stuff as well. So lots of different options there on that front, which is quite nice. Glorious white for those. I will say, after having painted the TravelBattle infantry, I've done basically all of the infantry now for the Brits. All sorted.
Sweet.
They're a little bit more detailed to paint than I would have thought at the beginning. I was like, oh, this is fine. But in actual fact, once you do the base coat and you put wash over the top of it, it all looks great.
Yes.
It's so easy.
Smaller figures are less.
Yeah.
Less is very much more. You want the bright defining colors and couldn't give a monkeys about the shade.
Once I realized that I didn't have to paint every single thing on the mini, I was just like bash, bash, bash. I was like, well, this is easy. And I was going through reams and reams of these before the night was over. Just the French to do, and away we go. But yes, so that's your infantry and helmets as well. You also have some cavalry options to take things in different directions. So you've got your lancers in their Zatka, I'm going to say.
That is correct. The Polish square cap for your Imperial Lancers.
And as you can see, these can be used as your Australian Ulas, the Polish, the French Imperial Guard, Polish and Dutch, Russians, Prussians, and the Berg Lancers as well. So lots of different options for you there. Again, can paint them up in the simplest schemes you like, because you don't have to worry about all the little fiddly bits, which is brilliant.
Blue, a nice navy blue and red. That's all you need.
There you go.
Polish Imperial Lancers. Go, go, go.
I was reading the painting guide that comes in the book, what comes with the rule book for Travel Battles, and it says, you could add regimental colours if you wanted. And I went, no, I won't.
I could, but you can't make me. I do like the idea that this is so much more representative.
Yeah. And then you also have your heavy cavalry in bicorns as well. So if you wanted to go down that route, you have them to use as your Spanish dragoons, which would be a nice addition to your already bought infantry in bicorns. You can also use them for a variety of different other things, as you can see there too. When I was painting these, I stuck them all on the bases because I was like, this will be fine. There's enough room in between to get my brush in. Don't do that. No. Just paint them, spray them and paint them on the sprue. Probably the best option, I would say, for the cavalry. Pretty much everything, actually, just paint it on the sprue. And then just whack off the bases.
Or lollipop sticks. That's why I have so many lollipop sticks. I was thinking
like cocktail sticks.
Oh, because you can, depending on how it goes.
I've got mine on the top of paint pots at the moment.
So you got paint pots?
Yeah.
Because the way I normally do it, especially with things like cavalry, if you've got 3 to a base, you'll get 3 on a lollipop stick, and then
just go down
the
line.
Each one is a base.
Yeah.
And nobody gets missed.
Yeah.
I suppose you can assembly line the paint job at that point.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes. I spent at least half an hour painting trousers last night, so yes, just a huge line of trousers.
That's how it goes.
You also have the option to include artillery in bicorns as well. Again, this is really so you can do the Peninsular War, the Peninsular campaign, to be honest. But you've got all those options there for the Spanish and that kind of thing too. So maybe go and grab some of the travel battle boards because they do sell them separately. Paint them up in a slightly different way. Make it a little bit more Spanish. Maybe the grass is a little dusty and dry. The grass is a little burnt. And you could do a new setup with some new tiles for playing Travel Battle. If you've not played Travel Battle before, great little game. Had a lot of fun playing it. Played it on the Sunday morning of my stag do with a very hungover opponent who continually tried to form square, and I shot him with cannons.
Well, that is the hazard of forming square, but the alternative is you get a cavalry charge in the face.
Yeah. So,
can I ask then, very quickly, since you say the boards are separate, or the boards are available separately, which I wasn't aware of.
Yes.
How modular are they? Can you get multiples and turn them and flip them in different directions?
Yeah, because they're all individual sheets, as you see there. The houses you stick on, and then it comes with forests that you put on top, and you can take them off because you
just see a forest lurking over there.
Yeah. And then you get the modular hills and things like that. But they've been designed in such a way that the roads will kind of match up whichever way you turn them round.
Right.
Because when you set it play the game, you roll a dice to see which side faces you and which side faces the enemy. So you just sort of mix it. So you choose a board, roll a dice, flip it round, away you go. So you could actually, in some cases, and I've seen people do it, basically expand the game out to have 4 tiles essentially with double the amount of troops on the board, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so, but without
are you looking to do a full 6x4, Jerry?
6x4 at the other big,
I'd get that chalk line that you use on building sites.
Yeah.
If I was playing a 6x4 on a grid, I'd just get chalk line and just ping the grid onto a mat, rather than buying a million of these. Although it is nice that you can expand it without looking odd.
Yeah.
Because there's modularity in the boards. Cool. Yeah. Sweet to the bait.
Fun stuff for people who want to play on the
coming then.
Great.
Yeah. At least we know what to get you for the wedding. Right. Enough of that news. I think we should take a look at a little Kickstarter.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
All right then, our Kickstarter campaign for this week comes courtesy of Zenit from Spaniel. And obviously, being Spanish, they are doing Samurai Warlords.
Of course. Yeah. So this is an expansion to their range of character miniatures and things like that they have done. If you don't know, Zenit have a range in a game called Kensai, which is all sort of 32mm scale samurai miniatures. They have a fantasy version of that as well, which is quite cool. You can dive into, but they do also do loads of historical miniatures and that kind of stuff. So these are a little bit bigger than your typical 28mm stuff, but there's lots of stuff for you to dive into and build up from this if you wanted to. That's because this is a series of essentially just characters for you to dive into based on iconic leaders, warlords, daimyos, that kind of thing, clan commanders and that kind of stuff from the feudal Japanese period. So you have the likes of Toyotomi Hideyoshi, Takeda Shingen, Kate Kimamasa, Tokugawa Ieyasu, Sanada Yukimura, Oda Nobunaga, everyone knows him, Lee Naomasa, Honda Takakatsu, Yusiga Kenshin, and Date Masamune. Most of these characters I know because I played Samurai Warriors.
Yes. Makes sense.
So I have seen all of the anime versions of these characters in some fashion and killed many, many characters with my Musu mode across the battlefield. But this obviously represents them in a more realistic sense for use on the tabletop in your games. They've also got a bunch of stretch goals available for Minamoto no Tametomo, Minamoto no Yuchisune, Otomo, and there are a lot more to come as well, as you can see there. So lots of things that
Otomo is Ben's favourite. Being the shortest name.
Short name, yeah. All of the figures are presented in metal and in 32mm scale. And they'll be really nice sort of painting projects for you to dive into, I think. All of them are incredibly unique, characterful, so you could dive in and have a lot of fun with them. To learn a little bit more about their past and their history and sort of how they fit into the whole sphere of this kind of period of history in Japan. Obviously, as I say, a lot of people will know the likes of Oda Nobunaga and stuff like that, and his sort of like campaign to control all of Japan, the introduction of more firearms and that kind of thing into the mix. But there are loads of other characters in there. They'll be really fascinating to dive into and see where their sort of story goes. Zenit have also, whilst they do have their Kensai game that you can play, they have kind of twinned this with Clash of Katanas, which is from the folks at Fighting Hedgehog. So if you are looking for a samurai game to play with these, I would recommend going to check out Clash of Katanas. There's no reason these couldn't be used for Test of Honor and that kind of thing too, because you could use these alongside the rest of the 32mm range from Zenit in order to make your sort of skirmish warband and things for that game. If you wanted to go down that route, there's also plenty of other games out there that do samurai wars. Check out Ronin and that kind of thing from Osprey, which is obviously a little bit older now, but
they have Daimo coming this year.
Yeah, they have Daimo, which is their larger mass battle game coming out too. And again, there's no shortage of options from Zenit to expand upon when you're sitting here. But I really like the characters. I think the sculpts are really nice. What's quite good about this campaign is that it's kind of like a sort of a try before you buy for samurai wargaming, because you could look at this and be like, "Ooh, I really like these. Maybe I'll just paint the characters." And then you go, "Well, I've painted Takeda Shingen now. Maybe I should paint all of his clan." And it's just a leap off the cliff into even more samurai awesomeness. But yeah, looking very, very nice, folks.
I will say, Toyotomi's helmet with the big fan on the back looks so impractical.
Yeah.
And yes, exactly what he wore.
Yeah. Ooh, on this point as well, I believe at the Imperial War Museum or somewhere in London right now, they are holding a samurai exhibition where you can go and learn about the truth of the samurai. And so they've got lots of stuff in there about how they've been represented in anime and Gundam and all that kind of stuff. But they've also got this big display of sort of like how to look at samurai in real life and that kind of stuff as well. So there's some really fun stuff there for people.
It's our awesome time when we're across for Salute.
It's at the British Museum.
The British Museum, not the
from
Imperial
medieval
Museum.
to modern.
There you go.
Runs until the 4th of May.
Yeah.
And if you missed that, V&A have a really good samurai armor selection. Or just all year round. The V&A have always had that.
So yeah, there you go. Some more fun things for you to remember to add to your diary. There you go.
Yeah,
cool.
Very simple campaign, already funded, and 13 days left. So you can pick up the 10 miniatures and any of the stretch goals. We'll say Kensi is their fantasy game.
I thought it was the historical game, and then there was also the ability to add fantasy stuff.
No, it started as fantasy, and then the guys at Fighting Hedgehog contacted them to do some historical forces that they could use for Clash of Katanas. And so they went through the range and then sculpted a few new ones. So this set of actual historical heroes is obviously bang on for Clash.
Now we know.
If you are worried, if you've already got stuff from Wayland for Test of Honor, or to be fair, if you've got Test of Honor for Grey for now, or if you've got any stuff from Warlord for any of the pike and shot stuff, and you fancy doing a touch of the Japanese feudal, yes, they will be a bit bigger. They're also a bit finer, but you'll still be able to mix and match them without too much issue. I was looking because I do have a Zenit army down there, and I've got some Test of Honor figures and some.
You should do some comparisons.
Warlord ones nearby, but I just can't grab them right now. They will be bigger. They are metal. If you're familiar with early Infinity, they're very similar in that and sort of scale and fineness, I suppose. They're not squat, big head, big hands. They've gone 32 mil, so they can be more realistically proportioned. As you can see there, they look absolutely banging. Yeah. Which apparently is my word of the day, and I'm not sure why. Right. It's time for some more news.
Even more news, bitches.
All right, we're back with some more news, and this time we're going to be checking things out in World War II.
Yes, there is a world. There was a war. There may have been two of them. So we've got a little something.
Two of them.
Well, so this is for some bolt actiony goodness from Warlord Games. And what we're seeing is some new Armies of books. So we've got an announcement for 3 of them. So in April, folks are going to be expecting to see some new shiny Italian forces ready to hit the tabletop. This is going to cover the forces of North Africa, East Africa, the Eastern Front, the defense of Sicily, and the mainland campaign. So I'm very interested to see what they do with this one. Is the Audible Linda still in there? Which battles are they going to focus on? Which forces are they going to focus on from each area?
It's going to be fun to see where they go with this one, I think. It'll be really cool to see them sort of really expand out what's available to the Italians as well, I think. Because I always think they get relegated to the idea of them just being some guys that fought alongside the Germans. So I like the idea of them sort of being expanded out to have a proper force to play around with on the tabletop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing for the World Wars. You always think of the big players, the main actors within it. So the Americans, the British, the Germans, the Russians, the Japanese just about make it in there, I think.
I think so.
Whenever you're thinking of it, whenever you think Hollywood, World War II, you're not instantly going to your Pacific theater.
I don't think of Hollywood World War II's history.
Well, the average person.
I don't care about average people. Think of how terrible they are. And half of them are worse. But yeah, the Armies of Italy is a great example of significant force that got involved everywhere as they were desperate to try and show their worth. And they got involved in places they shouldn't have got involved in. Yeah. Things like North Africa.
Yeah.
And then when they arrived, they were complete. Any of the words that were running through my head there, all of them would be beeped. Even to the Allies. And by the Allies, I mean the Axis powers. Because when the Germans arrived, who didn't have any tropical sort of knowledge base to work off, because they didn't have offshoots or colonies in these sort of areas, and they went, is there anything that you need to do differently for maintenance of vehicles and stuff? And the Italians went, no, boobity-bappy. Whereas in actual fact, they were running a very specific diesel fuel mix in their vehicles because you needed it in North Africa. And the Germans just plowed ahead with the regular stuff and clogged everything up. It's like, they're your allies, you... Again, can't say any of those words I want to say.
I didn't realize that the Italians were involved on the Eastern Front as well. So that's going to be fascinating to see how that comes up. So,
But like I say, because obviously North Italy pushes into sort of what would be modern day Ukraine and Romania, and you've got all those sort of mountains. So you had the Soviet forces that were all part there pushing into North Italy. But likewise, they also pushed north and west into southern France at the start of the war because they were worried that the war would end too quickly and that they wouldn't get anything when they came to the table. And then the French army just stopped them in their tracks. And there was whereas everybody thinks about Dunkirk and everything happening in the north of France, in the south of France, the French defense went on much longer.
Wow.
And you had a lot of back and forth there.
Cool.
And you've always...
See, that I'd like to play out.
Yeah. And you've got the possibility of doing allies with the Italians as well. I don't know what's going to be in the book. But from the end of 43, you had two Italian armies, both the Mussolini Axis Italians, and then you had the Royalists. So it was King, King, who then allied themselves. So I don't know how much we'll get in here regarding the flip, whether or not you'll just be able... I suppose you can. Well, there's nothing to stop you just running it as an allied force.
Well, here's a question then, Jerry. So it's something I've always wondered about. Whenever the Italians flipped to the allied side, did they fully rearm, or did they just keep using German gear?
I think there was a lot of partisan activity there, so that it wasn't a full military force, and you still had Axis fighters who refused to surrender on the Italian side as well. So I'm not sure what their gear was like.
Be interesting to see how Warlords handled it.
Because in the middle of the war, you're not going to have a huge amount of gear that you can start to rearm with. They may have had older uniforms available. But I think it's more likely than not they were just whatever they were using, a lot of which would have been Italian made anyway, because they had their own arsenals and weapons. It's not like it's not like the Hungarians or whatever, who a lot of their stuff was armed from, or the Finns, where they were getting the weapons directly from Germany. They had their own. So
fair.
Answers on a postcard, please. I'm sure somebody down below who knows more about the Italians will be able to tell.
Well, let's move further on into the year, because in July we're going to be seeing the Commonwealth of Great Britain. So this one will be interesting because we will see the Australians, the Canadians, the Indians, New Zealanders, South Africans, and many, many more.
Seek and you shall find.
I see what you did there.
But and Gurkhas.
I
Tough
apologize. I apologize for forgetting the Gurkhas, one of the most terrifying fighting forces ever to exist in the world.
Anybody taking a Commonwealth force who isn't including some Gurkhas in there, if possible, is doing it wrong.
Fair.
Because they will punch a hole right through your enemy's line. And come back and punch a hole the other way as well. Just go do nothing in and out.
So they will have a single unit and use envelopment tactics.
It could be. I mean, ideally, I'd like an entire Gurkha regiment, but I don't think I'm going to get that. It will be fascinating to see what is in this book.
Yeah.
Well,
because prior, we've just had nation change. It was the British book, and then you just had, if you're running them as Anzacs, they have this as the national special rule instead. So we've never had a complete breakdown of the Commonwealth forces like this before.
It would be very cool.
I don't think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be covering conflicts in Europe, North Africa, and the jungles of the Far East. So there is a lot of campaignage in there where you can, really flesh out and expand what would be considered, like a sub-force of the British faction into something a bit fuller, which I'm really looking forward to see how they handle it.
Nifty. Yeah.
Should be playing to get stuck into anyway. Get a chance to dust off my Anzacs.
There you go.
Back into North Africa.
Yeah.
Fun times. All right. Now, moving to the tail end of the year in October, we're going to be seeing the armies of France. So this is going to be covering the defense and fall of France, the Vichy forces, the Free French, and the liberation of France.
Mm-hmm.
So this one runs, again, the full gamut, and then has what was an allied force that became an Axis force, then became an allied force again. And then you've all got all your partisans and resistance fighters in the mix in between. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they handle those different aspects and how they mix them in to build forces.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
good. I'm quite looking forward to the sort of tail end of things for that. Like I'm very interested in seeing what they do with the resistance fighters and that kind of thing for the liberation of France. That's going to be really cool. Obviously, got loads of really nice plastic sets out there now from Wargames Atlantic and things like that. We talked about
the second partisan box is coming shortly.
The ladies, So going to be. I will say this only once. Going to be fun to see what they do with that, and obviously going to be great to see what they do for the beginning, that early war period for the French too, because as we were just saying, they were pretty kick-ass. So
I mean, but before this war, the French were double hard bastards who you did not want to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the war that ruined their reputation. Although, honestly, I will say, Jerry mentioning that the Italians and the French had a dust-up at the beginning of the war during the invasion of France, that's where I want to go and explore. That, to me, is new, even though it's old, but it's interesting.
Also, doesn't have stupid tanks on the table. And I think we could all... It doesn't. I mean...
infantry all the way, man. Infantry. Sorry, John. Infantry all the way. So.
I hate seeing Tigers and the like in 28mm on a table.
Yeah.
That's fair.
The board's not that big for it. So at least early war, if they've got any armor, it's small.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, it might not be light in the case of the French, but it's small.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they had the wee Renaults, didn't they?
Yeah, but they slapped as much armor as they could on most of their tanks.
Fair.
So, that's why the Germans were still using them as gun turrets in the D-Day invasion and post.
Wow.
Fair.
Just all the armor on those things. But yeah, cracking stuff from Bolt Action.
Yep, and obviously
Wayland
with it being
Osprey.
Well, with it being Warlord, obviously we're going to see new plastic kits, maybe 2-player starter sets and stuff. So definitely keep your eyes peeled out.
Yeah.
In fact, Warlord, do me that French-Italian 2-player starter box. Yes, get to work.
There'll be a Justin bundle on the web store. So.
I mean, you can already pick up the singlies / Frenchies from Wargames Atlantic.
Oh, yeah.
Trade plastics.
Yeah.
So the French are already sitting there.
It's almost like
have they done?
It's almost like World War II is well catered for.
Yeah, it's almost like we've been covering it for a very, very long time.
Yes, since 1945 at least. Right, sticking with historics, but different scale, different period. The delightful fellows at Fire and Sword have got an expansion coming out. If you fancy a touch of the 17th century in Poland, then there's a rebellion coming for the Khmelnytsky rebellion. So Fire and Sword is 15mm 17th century historics. This expands into the southern and southern-eastern reaches of the Polish-Lithuanian Empire, essentially, with the Khmelnytsky uprising, where a whole force of Cossacks and friends incited a rebellion against their Polish-Lithuanian overlords.
Talking
mostly
about double hard
Poles.
bastards, Cossacks. So.
Yeah, well, so yeah, you've got the likes of Yeremy Yanowski, who was a noble in that sort of southern area, which had previously been Orthodox, but Poland was pushing hard with the Catholic Church to sort of essentially Catholicize everybody there, and then nobles were being raised to be loyal to the Catholic Church and to Poland. And so you ended up almost like in England with the Normans and Saxons. You ended up with an upper class who were distancing themselves from the lower classes and the peasantry who were resisting this being forced upon them. And this is where the rebellion stems from. This is essentially, I think Khmelnytsky was possibly even a cousin of some of the people facing him. So Jeremy Winanowski, he took over from the Polish king, Vladislav, whenever he died, but he was from the same stock. It's just he was raised Jesuit Catholic, and this is where it all kicks off from. So the book itself will give you all of this background. It will give you a campaign system, along with 6 historical scenarios, splitting up all of the goings on within the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the Cossacks and the Crimean Khanate. And yes, that is the surviving Khanate from the Golden Horde.
Wow.
So, when
That's cool.
When Constantinople fell, they were still going, yep, we're still part of that, forever and always. Alongside the book is also going to be a host of 15 mil figures. So you'll be able to pick up some actual armies, for the Cossacks, the Polish, your Tartars who were part of the Khanate. Because it swept from southeast and up, as they sort of attempted to throw off the shackles of Poland, because they'd just taken more and more of this sort of area under their wing. The figures themselves are absolutely gorgeous, especially the Cossacks. It's a really good film. It's called The Duel, set in this sort of time period, and it's an old one.
Cool.
But you get some really nice sword fighting and the like, and just shows what the Cossacks were like. But yeah, you've also got the Polish army as well for rebellion. So just expanding on what they already have for the Poles in 15 mil. But
they're
giving you some
lovely sculpts. I really like them.
Yeah. Giving you some really nice new figures, especially for the nobility, the people coming in there and poking all around them with sticks. You'll also be able to guess, like I say, the peasantry. And this is, as I was saying, this is really the crux of the matter. Some nobles were getting pushed aside and they didn't like it, so they appealed to the base. I'm not getting my way anymore, so let's just double back with what the people in the towns and villages actually want, and then use them for the groundswell of support. Plus the Cossacks then as well were pulled in to give them a sort of a hard-hitting elite force, alongside the peasantry. Absolutely terrific figures, all white metal, bar the horses, which are CO cast, they're plastics. But it's a really, things like that little command stand with the icon is gorgeous.
I like how they do that with By Fire and Sword, where you have in a traditional sense that you see a lot of other historical games doing the same thing, where you have the commanders as a little tiny diorama base with their sort of like staff alongside them. And then you have the other rank and file stuff in more of a traditional format. So, yeah.
And if somebody ever wanted to do something their Civil War in 15 mil, Ben, if you just need some pike and shot and buff coats, these obviously are absolutely gorgeous sculpts again, and will cover you for that 17th century pike and shot period across all of Europe. So you can start down at the Tartars and work your way all the way up to Trent.
Go ram it.
And everywhere in between will be very, very similar for these.
This is one of the things I really like about By Fire and Sword and what they're doing, though, as well, is that a lot of the time, this period of history, you tend to focus on Western Europe, what's happening in England and stuff like that, and ACW, as you say. But to have this diverse, interesting, deep set of conflicts and uprisings and rebellions happening in Eastern Europe is really fascinating. And now that By Fire and Sword is in its second edition, it's been cleaned up, it's been tidied up and that kind of thing. They've really come back and gone like bish bash bosh. You can get all sorts of different things, loads of starter armies and all that kind of stuff to this new rebellion book as well. So, there's a lot of wealth of interesting stuff for you to dive into for a very different theatre of war. So,
And the rebellion itself lasted a year or so. Relatively short-lived.
Compact, yeah.
So the campaign will cover all of that.
Yeah. Very cool.
But spoilers for
history,
400 years of history. The rebellion was successful. It was more or less, this was the beginning of the end for the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Big chunk of, because it's not just a big chunk of their land went away. you have a big chunk of fighters, especially, the Cossacks and like, just going, nah, mate.
We're not having this.
A big chunk of Ukraine.
Yeah.
So all the fighting in around Lviv and Zafrina and stuff like that. So all of these people, they don't view this as, it's the same as, the American War of Independence / the American Revolution, depending on where you come from.
Yeah.
Same thing with this. It's the Polish-Lithuanian uprising, the Kaminsky uprising, or it's the Ukrainian liberation or something. Well, it wasn't Ukrainian, but it's still viewed as a war of liberation there. So, echoes down history.
Random little additional fact, because obviously we're full of PSAs today. I was interested in more black powder style shows. So I was looking around. I found one called Turn, Washington Spies, which has been around for a while with
fun.
Jamie Bell. Watched the first series of that. Pretty good. Bit slow. Second series, a lot better. But definitely worth checking out if you're interested in the sort of the revolution and stuff like that. So, yeah. And Jamie Bell's a great actor.
I like season 1 being slow because it's him actually slowly changing his political views from being a royalist into a continental, which to me really sets it up well for the later season. I will warn you now, Ben, it gets a little silly in the later end.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Also, it's got loads of really big name actors in it. You're like, oh my God, it's you. And you're like, oh, so that's cool. So,
Fair.
It's definitely better than that terrible, terrible, terrible AI thing that Time Magazine are doing or whatever. But
What?
So just ignore that. Less
I
said about
don't know it exists. I'm leaving it alone.
Just
Object permanence is not a thing here.
The Polish film I was thinking of is called The Deluge.
Ooh, okay.
Not The Jewel, which is the Ridley Scott film from the Napoleonic period.
Right.
The Deluge is the one you want to look for.
Okay.
Even if you just go to YouTube and look for the Jewel from The Deluge, there's a fight scene in there. It's
Awesome.
all right.
Yeah.
We have one final bit of the news.
We do. Yay. Ooh.
And I shall now kick back.
So for anyone
And let Ben go.
Yeah, so this is now a 2-hour show. So for anyone who knows me, they'll know that I'm a massive fan of Middle-earth. And to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the films and the Fellowship of the Ring, Games Workshop are not releasing any new kits, at least not yet. We'll have to wait and see. But they are going to bring back some classics on a made-to-order basis. So if you remember back in the old days when they had that lovely black book that had all the rules in and all that kind of stuff for the Fellowship of the Ring, these are some of the kits that I couldn't afford when I was a little boy. So these are now going to be snapped up because I'm a big boy now. Starting off with the Attack at Weathertop set, which is glorious. It comes with 4 of the Nazgul alongside the Witch King. You also get Merry, Pippin, Sam, and Frodo alongside Strider, Aragorn, with the campfire in the middle. This was the scenario, randomly, that was used as an introduction to a lot of people in Games Workshop in my local area. I didn't know what will and might and all this kind of stuff was. I just wanted to fight and all that kind of cool stuff. So that was a bit weird, but it was great. And the guy who ran the game, because obviously none of these Nazgul had names, they were called Swingy, Stabby, Reachy, and Pokey. And that was how you had to remember who was who when you were playing the game. Yes, he's Pokey. But yes, I'm definitely going to be snapping this up. All of them are going to be lovely metals. That's the case for all of these, apart from the terrain, which we'll get to in a
that's
second.
nice.
But yes, lovely, lovely old school figures. If you want to set up your games of Middle-earth strategy battle game or the Lord of the Rings strategy battle game, whichever way you want to cover it, you can also get the often looked at from afar terrain pieces. There's more to come in this, but this was a big old resin piece from the folks at Forge World. And it is back, and it's going to be expensive. But yes, if you're looking for a movie accurate, not book accurate, Weathertop pushes glasses up, then you'll be able to grab this and set up your scenarios to play your games. All those scenarios are great. Oh my God, I loved playing through them when I was younger. That's so good. Even like playing through them now. But yes,
I seem to remember it was expensive at the time, but it wasn't ridiculously expensive in comparison
now it's the modern day, so who knows? Although the Middle-earth range is usually quite cheap, all things considered, from the GW, so you never know. It might be within reach.
Let's be honest. Hobbit and Lord of the Rings is the most affordable range to do.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, 170. If that was the same case now, that wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
So, Ben, which kidney are you selling to get all of these bits, left or right?
Both of them. I don't need them, right? No. But yeah, so lovely piece of terrain there for you using that. Moving through the story, we then have the Fellowship themselves. So this is the original metal set that they did for the Lord of the Rings. This is a set that I actually do have. A friend bought it and then just left it in my collection. They don't need it anymore. They've never asked for it back, so it's mine now. Possession is 9/10 of the law.
And if it's left for 6 months, that counts as abandonment.
Yeah. And I have repainted this set, I think 5 times now, and I think I'm finally happy with how it looks. But a glorious set, again, comes with all the hobbits. So you get Merry, Pippin, Sam, and Frodo. You get Gandalf in that wonderful pose. You get Boromir, Legolas, and Gimli, and then also Aragorn Strider there as well. Brilliant set with those old sculpts by, I believe it was all the Perrys back then, wasn't it, working on these? So, yeah.
Perrys did
most
these.
Of the Perrys. Yeah.
Gary Morley did some
yes.
as well, and I think Chris Fitzpatrick also did some, but the Perrys were responsible for the majority of the characters.
Yeah. But yes, glorious stuff there too, again in metal. Moving then further through the story, so this is a great set for you to set up all your stuff around Moria and Khazad-dûm. You then move to the end of the Fellowship of the Rings film, where we have the Ambush of Amon Hen set, buying this one as well.
Spoilers.
R.I.P. Sean Bean. So this set comes with the 3 hunters. So you get Aragorn, Strider there, Legolas and Gimli, kicking ass and taking names. You also get the Uruk-hai scouts in metal before they were plastic, of course. There was now a plastic set. You also get Lurtz in that special pose with his bow at the ready to deliver that final shot into Boromir, who has fought valiantly to redeem himself, broken horn in front of him on the floor. And then you also get Merry and Pippin being carried away by 2 more of the Uruk-hai scouts. So you too can stand at the tabletop and shout, "Find the halflings," and say, "I would have gone with you to the end," and then cry. But yeah.
I'm sorry, Ben, for me, just seeing them picked up like that. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So you can have them being fed grog and throwing little trinkets into the grass to be found by the 3 hunters later on. But yeah, very nice little set there as well. Great for your scenarios. If you've got some plastic Uruk-hai scouts, obviously you can bulk things out with them and use it to play out the actual Ambush at Amon Hen, either the really big one, or in the later editions, they actually like compartmentalized the fight. So you could play it on a little bit of an easier scale, which is quite cool. I think that's in the new book as well, actually. Yeah. And in some of the other supplements. You also have the Seeing Seat at Amon Hen. So this is where Frodo runs to when he's escaping from Boromir, and he confronts Sauron once again and falls off, as you remember, only to be found by Aragorn. So you two can do that moment, that touching moment where Aragorn then draws his sword, looks like the ultimate badass, and basically carves his way through an entire army of Uruk-hai before meeting up with Legolas and Gimli. So yeah.
It's during that fight where he bats a sword or a knife has been thrown at him out of the way.
When he fights Lurtz, he stabs Lurtz in the leg with his elven dagger, and then Lurtz throws the dagger at him, and Viggo Mortensen literally deflects the knife in real life.
Because he wasn't meant to throw it that close to him.
No.
It was a pure accident caught on camera, which I think is far more interesting than the he broke his toe story.
This is also the fight where John Rhys Davies got a reputation with the crew because he didn't pull his punches. So he would smack people with his axe pretty hard. And a lot of the extras were scared to fight him.
It's important to remember that the dwarf is the biggest member of the fellowship.
Member of the cast, yes.
he's almost as big as I am.
So that's great. And then finally, we have a set of the 3 hunters, complete with Legos's bent arrow, as you can see there in the photo.
Oh,
studio miniature.
Just straighten it, lads.
Yeah. But yeah, so this comes with some often unseen sculpts for 3 hunters. So you have Gimli without the helmet on, which is quite cool.
But he looks like an orangutan there.
And a little bit.
I'm assuming it's the paint job.
Makes
it look like
I don't know. I think it's the gigantic ears poking out, just changed to see a bit of head.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him unpainted.
But yeah, you have Gimli there, Legolas with his cloak up and arrow at the ready, and then Strider with his elven cloak up and bow and arrow at the ready as well. So
some really nice pose.
It's really nice. Yeah, there is a plastic version of the 3 hunters that came out a couple of years ago now that you can buy. But if you're looking for sort of more classic sculpts that are a little bit more in line with the look of the actors, this is a great one to go and pick up. Obviously great for collectors like myself, so go and snap this up and get it. Same thing goes for the Fellowship of the Ring set as well. There is a plastic version of the Fellowship of the Ring set, but a lot of those have a few issues with sort of soft details and things like that. So if you are looking for a really nice metal set, make sure to go and check those. These will be coming to made to order at the beginning of March, I want to say. So if you're looking to get those, keep an eye out for it. And hopefully we'll see more stuff done to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the movies over the next couple of years for Two Towers and Return of the King and everything else as well. So yeah, glorious stuff indeed.
Nice.
Big.
And with your fellowship, are you now going to go hunting for one of those bases?
I have one. I have one.
You've got one of the Bale and
I
Tim
have,
bases?
yes. It came in a big box of, here's all of my Lord of the Rings collection. Please look after it for me type thing. And so it is now mine. I've never painted it. It is still in its bare resin. It is still in a box, but I do have it. And I keep looking at it and thinking, I should probably paint this now. But yeah, we'll get around to it.
Yes, you should.
The hoarding continues.
Yeah, it would make sense other than my models just sitting on the shelf behind me.
Yes,
without the actual
you've got a
base,
display base, and you've got the models, and the models are painted.
Yeah.
Yeah, the display base. The only thing is you're going to have to texture the dirt to match your basing material, which is kind of brown and stuff, unless you get a second set specifically to have them on the display base. Not like that one where I see somebody's included the Gandalf from the Balrog scene in there. Presumably they've lost hatted Gandalf somewhere along the way, just had to replace him.
I have like 4 versions of Gandalf now. I have Gandalf the White, Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf in the Tower of Orthanc, Gandalf at Rivendell, Gandalf from the Fellowship. Anyway, yes.
It's getting to be like Darth Vader.
Yes.
You two can have your 15 stop motion animation Gandalfies. Gandalf Rosseruses? I don't know. What's the plural of Gandalf?
Stormcrows. There you go.
Stormcrow Gandalfs. Yeah. Nice.
No, you just do the Spider-Man thing, but it's them all pointing their staff at each other in different ways.
Yeah.
It's the way to do it. Right. I think that wraps us up for this week.
It does. Yeah.
Plenty to digest there. You two can spend your time Googling what the full title of the Canate was, because it's an amazing full title. I'll just leave that one for you, I hope. We'll be back next week for more of the same, but you can always join us on Sunday morning over at OnTableTop.com for our Cult of Games XLBS show. If you're not already a cultist, you can join us there for a 30-day free trial. Otherwise, we'll see you soon. Have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.